Chandigarh focused on developments related to the Agricultural Market Information Systems Rapid Response Forum, identifying capacity building or training needs of the agriculture sector, Asia's role in regional and global food security, and the impact of financial factors on importing countries, among other issues. So what is the Agricultural Market Information System? It is an interagency platform to enhance food market transparency and policy response for food security. It was launched in 2011 by G20 agriculture ministers after the global food price hikes in 2007, 2008 and 2010. Bringing together the principal trading countries of agricultural commodities, AMIS assesses global food supplies of wheat, maize, rice and soya beans and provides a platform for policy coordination in times of market uncertainty. The Rapid Response Forum comprises senior officials of countries participating in AMIS, and it is designed to promote early discussion among decision-level officials on critical market conditions for the purpose of policy coordination and development of common strategies. So Indian officials spoke on the need for digital public infrastructure architecture that is standardized and non-proprietary, meaning not made by or belonging to a particular company, so that AMIS has helped in obtaining credible and real-time information on production estimates, supplies and consumption for countries to respond quickly to shocks and volatility in food markets. So the sessions addressed challenges in the agriculture sector and gaps in value chain and crop productivity. An update was also shared on the status and developments made in the Agricultural Market Information System. DD India correspondent Anuj Yadav spoke to officials of the Agriculture Ministry on expectations from the meeting, including promotion of millets. Take a listen.
This is the International Year of Millets, and that has been actually declared at the behest of India by our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who has actually pitched it very strongly in the United Nations. And today, we can proudly say that our country has been doing everything possible to popularize millets, to mainstream millets. आम आदमी के जो plate में millet पहुंच जाए. Earlier we used to have traditionally, but then after Green Revolution we started eating wheat, rice. So from a nutrition perspective, millet has got a lot of benefits. So during the G20 meetings also, we are trying to pitch in this concept that millet is good for food and nutrition security, and also for sustainability, because if you diversify into millets, then you will be able to produce the kind of food that we need to eat. And that is another important thing. So we are actually discussing this under the program Maharishi, and this will come up in the subsequent days.
In that Indore meeting, we had circulated our concept notes as well as the draft communique. Now all the countries have given their inputs, and what we are doing in this meeting is actually sitting down and doing the crucial process of negotiations, where people will come up with their suggestions to the and amendments to the draft, and accordingly that shall be ironed out during these 2 days that we are meeting. In terms of the millet piece of the whole meeting, as you know, since the time that India has taken lead in the millet initiative by way of International Year of Millets, there is a lot of buzz that we see all across the world about millets.
We have organized 17 side events for more than 4,000 people who are from the different sect of the society. They are from agriculture entrepreneurs, they are stakeholders, farmers. So we make them aware what are the issues we are discussing, and these meetings will discuss different issues with the climate resilient agriculture, marketing, so as to how it going to get the benefit to the consumer, to the beneficiary, to the stakeholder, to the farmers. This benefit will reach to the farmer.
Anuj Yadav also spoke to delegates from Italy, European Union and Indonesia participating in the meeting.
The most important point that we have to discuss is the situation of food security around the world, and on the contribution that the G20 can give, the G20 countries can give to this goal to improve food securities around the world in a time of global concerns. And another point is also how we can continue to promote the transformation of the global food systems in order to make them more sustainable. and I think that Indian presidency is very committed in these challenges.
We have very high expectations for India's chairing of the G20, and I'm quite sure that we will not be disappointed. India has set out a very ambitious agenda for our work in the next 2 days, focusing on how to make our agriculture more sustainable, how to make it more resilient, how to increase food security against a background of climate change, market disruptions, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, other geopolitical difficulties. And I hope that with the help of the excellent Indian chairmanship of G20, we will have an ambitious outcome which all G20 members will subscribe to, covering sustainable food production, transforming our food systems, keeping markets and trade flowing, and reducing poverty.
We also encourage AMIS to proceed with the early warning system, so it will be very much important for G20 members countries to make any anticipated program to address the issues of food security. Since the challenge for food security right now is getting much stronger, dealing with the intensifying climate change issues, let's say geopolitical tension that disrupt the value chain of agricultural commodities, including the input of agriculture. So early warning system is very much important to make G20 members countries be well prepared to face any unpredicted event dealing with the food situation in the G20 members countries.
The second and final day of the second infrastructure working group meeting in Visakhapatnam started with deliberations on the future of the global infrastructure hub and fostering partnerships for promoting inclusive cities. Now, what is the Global Infrastructure Hub or GI Hub? It is a not-for-profit organization formed by the G20. It advances the delivery of sustainable, resilient and inclusive infrastructure. It collaborates with the public and private sectors, acts as a knowledge-sharing hub to produce data, insights, knowledge tools and programs that inform both policy and infrastructure delivery. These resources help decision makers and practitioners create positive impacts through infrastructure. So discussions today also focused on enhancing infrastructure investment and improving access to urban services. All in all, there were 4 sessions on various aspects of infrastructure investments, including developing infrastructure as an asset class, promoting quality infrastructure investment and identifying innovative instruments for mobilizing financial resources.
Go for transit-oriented development. So there are various financing options as well as non-financing options. Non-financing options are the national policies, urban planning approaches which facilitate financing. So this is a broad outline, and what we are trying to do is we are going to bring out a compendium which will contain 15 to 25 case studies of each instrument where it was successfully used. So in the June meeting, we will present the results of the pilot studies that are happening. The pilot project is spread across the world. It's not only in one particular country.
Earlier, G20 delegates kicked off their final day with a rejuvenating and holistic experience as they were introduced to the ancient practices of yoga and meditation. DD India correspondent Chandrasekhar spoke to Taufika Hawk, a senior infrastructure finance specialist at Global Infrastructure Facility at the World Bank, and also with Ping Yen Che, a representative of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Here's what they had to say.
We have Taufika with us. She is from World Bank Infrastructure Facility. Ma'am, how do you look towards this G20 meeting?
It's a pleasure to be back in India, and for me the first time in Visakhapatnam with the G20's infrastructure working group. We are very grateful to India, to India's presidency for the hospitality, for the beautiful surroundings, but also for the very thought-provoking discussions that we are having. I think we are all here as delegates hoping to solve some issues, but to do it in such a beautiful setting and with the kindness of the people around us is a wonderful experience.
Investment is a big issue when you're talking about the infrastructure and working on infrastructure development. So how World Bank can play or the World Infrastructure Hub can play a big role in this?
Infrastructure is really an engine for growth, and for us at the World Bank and for me at the Global Infrastructure Facility, this is what we do on a daily basis. So working with emerging market countries at looking at how to improve the services. We always have in mind the people who will be using the services, and ensuring that the efficiencies of delivery. So in the energy sector, in the transport sector, water sector, so things that affect our daily lives but are also critical for a country's growth path.
And how you see about India's presidency in G20?
Well, India's presidency has been very interesting. India, given its sheer size, the growth path of India has been. All of these have been brought in. Presidency's thought of where do we need to focus, where can we bring solutions. So the focus of this year of one earth, one people, one future is really what India is thinking through. We in the infrastructure working group, the focus we have been coming at has been more at the subnational cities level, at urban development. This is where the core of the populations in India live, and in a lot of emerging markets. So a number of challenges, number of opportunities also. So I think that's we have to think of the positive, that challenges can become opportunities for countries to address. Thank you very much.
So, infrastructure for the infrastructure and finance is going to play a very crucial role, and what she is saying about it. And India's presidency, India's presidency, it can play a very major role. With camera person Satyakar, this is Chandrasekhar from Visakhapatnam, DD India. We have Mr. Ping from AIIB. Sir, how do you feel about the Indian presidency?
We have been really mesmerized by the warm reception accorded to us by the Indian presidency, and also by the host province, Andhra Pradesh. There was a warm reception at the airport, and we are very honored to be here. Last night we met the Chief Minister, Jagan Reddy. He has his vision of public housing, and he also shared with us his targets. And so of the many items that we discussed, certainly the need for social infrastructure is a priority moving forward.
How finance can play a vital role in developing infrastructure?
Finance is a key part of this jigsaw puzzle that we are trying to assemble and trying to piece together, especially in the context of urban. So there are many principles that we are trying to develop, and key is really to make sure that eventually the infrastructure delivered to the public, to the urban residents, actually meets the ideals of the IWG tagline, which is inclusivity, resilience and sustainability. So finance is key to that, because it will deliver the infrastructure needed by the communities. Thank you.
Can you say something about India's infrastructure development?
And now I'm here after 20 years, especially after COVID. I think you have made tremendous improvements in terms of infrastructure, and I think the pace of infrastructure development is very much keeping up with your demographic growth dividends, and I'm sure the dividends will be felt positively not just by India but by the region and the world.
Mr. Ping said that finance is going to be play a very crucial role in the future cities and development of a future infrastructure. With camera person Satyakar, this is Chandrasekhar for DD India.
The first G20 Chief Science Advisors Roundtable meeting began in Ramnagar, Uttarakhand today. The roundtable is an initiative introduced under India's G20 presidency to discuss and develop common frameworks in order to address key issues in global science and technology policy landscape. Over 51 delegates from 17 countries are participating in the roundtable meeting. The first day saw discussions on opportunities in One Health for better disease control and pandemic preparedness, making scholarly scientific advice accessible to everyone freely, instantly and universally, including to the underrepresented, underprivileged, marginalized minority and tribal communities, mapping possibilities of interlinking national and international resources or archives for easy accessibility and including traditional knowledge systems in the formal system of knowledge through due scientific validation process. Day 2 of the Trade and Investment Working Group meeting in Mumbai focused on trade for growth and prosperity and resilient global value chains. Dr. Bhagwat Karad, the Minister of State in India's Finance Ministry, addressed the inception meeting in Mumbai today. Dr. Karad highlighted the widening gap between developing and developed countries, which further gets exacerbated during pandemics and geopolitical crisis, emphasizing on the need for efficient and resilient global supply chains. He said that G20 member countries must collaborate in designing interventions that will diversify global value chains in critical sectors such as food, fertilizers, energy and pharmaceuticals. He also mentioned that women-owned MSMEs are disproportionately affected by the credit constraints and various other gender-based barriers. To address and rectify disproportionate burden of trade cost on MSMEs, he proposed collective action by the international trade community.
It's the second day of Trade and Investment Working Group meeting here for the G20, and Union Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Bhagwat Karad, is with us. He was there also for the inaugural session. Sir, you were there and you made some key important points there in front of the delegation. What were those points? Could you just put it in just for us?
Business in India, business outside India, it should have become easy to everybody. So different schemes have declared. Particularly, I want to tell some important for MSMEs. This is PLI scheme. Through the PLI scheme, product link incentives are given for MSMEs to take within 45 days. They should get their bill money. So there are some schemes. So different schemes that we have discussed.
MSMEs plays a major role, and also there is one particular priority issue that will be discussed, which is tomorrow, integrating MSMEs. What are the various schemes or various thrusts that we are putting on the MSMEs to put it on the global value chain and also on the global platform?
India's GDP around 30%, around I'm saying 30% GDP comes through MSME, and around more than 11 crore jobs are created by MSMEs. So MSMEs plays very important role in India's economic development. And one thing I want to mention, to survive the MSME, Government of India under the guidance of Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji have, during COVID period, we have launched a 20 lakhs crore scheme, that is Atmanirbhar package, and out of that Atmanirbhar package, the MSMEs got benefited, and the MSMEs have sustained during crisis also. The jobs are secured, and we are going to a stable economy.
So lastly, on a lighter note, you've also come here and visited the exhibition of the Ministry of Textiles. There's exhibition on spices as well. So that the delegates will definitely have a taste and an aspect. They will experience an aspect of the Indian culture.
India is a country where heritage is very important. It is a old heritage cultural country, and the textile is one of the earlier business in India. There are textile mills, and there are textile different clusters also. Recently, Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji has declared 7 clusters in India. One of them is in Maharashtra, that is in Amravati. So here is a cluster exhibition.
If the minister is impressed, we definitely hope the delegates would also be impressed by this kind of exhibition that the Ministry of Textiles has put up. With camera person Kapil Maske, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Mumbai.
So there you heard that a textile exhibition has been put up by the Ministry of Textiles at the venue. It showcases traditional as well as technical textiles. Take a listen.
every G20 meeting, there is something which is representing the country or the tradition of the state is put up or displayed at the venue. Today here at the Trade and Investment Working Group meeting here at Mumbai, the Ministry of Textiles, they have put up their exhibition over here. Right now what you're seeing here is the handicrafts work. You also see the names, charkha with inlay work, and then there's sandalwood fan. Likewise, the Ministry of Textile have also mentioned what their numbers are, where they stand and how they exports and imports. Apart from that, they've also put on display a lot of works, the handicraft works from various states of the country. Here you can see from Kashmir, then also from UP, the carpets are on display. Even the handicrafts and the work of art is on display. Likewise, other places as well, there are similar handicrafts put up, which showcases the rich cultural heritage of India. Here, as it is Ministry of Textiles, so different weaves of the country are on display, and we also know that India is known for more than 75 weaves in the entire country. So all these kind of weaves, the selected weaves are on display. Also, some other handicrafts here are on display. Then there are other displays, which is papier-mâché, elephant. Then other than that, these are all the traditional textiles. There is also a handloom on display for the delegates, so that they can come here and enjoy and understand how the looms work and how the weavings happen in India. This is one side. The other side of the exhibition is on the technical textile, how the modern industry is using textiles in their sector. That's on display. So you can understand by this that there are sportswear, there are industrial hospital wear, medical wear, then there are NDRF suits that are put up over there. This is the second part of the exhibition, and then the last one is the sustainable items. These are cloths, these are bags made from upcycled waste storage, and likewise the entire exhibition is a rich display, rich showcase of all the cultural heritage, of all the hard work that the Indian weavers or the textile industry puts in for the entire industry. With camera person Kapil Maske, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Mumbai.
And the second Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting concluded in Gandhinagar today. While the overarching focus of the three-day meeting was water resource management, the other priority areas on day 3 that were discussed were arresting land degradation, accelerating ecosystem restoration and enriching biodiversity, promoting a sustainable and climate-resilient blue economy, and encouraging resource efficiency and circular economy. There were bilateral meetings with a few countries as well. DD India correspondent Meghna Dev caught up with Leela Nandan, Secretary in India's Environment Ministry, on the major takeaways from the meeting. Take a listen.
We are joined in by the Secretary from the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Leela Nandanji. Thank you so much, ma'am, for talking to us. We are concluding this second working group meeting of the Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group. 3 days of brainstorming and the deliberations and discussions. What do you have to say, major takeaways from this meeting?
So this has been a very interesting and interactive set of discussions that we had. It began with the 27th when we took them on a site visit to Adalaj Stepwell and Narmada's escape and siphon, and so they got an overview of how historically we have managed water and in present day times modern water management techniques. And we have a wonderful exhibition also which was put together, which is there in our pavilion, and which showcases the integrated approach that we have towards water management. So that has been one of the highlights of this working group.
What has been the kind of feedback generated when we talk about the invitee countries, G20 countries and other organizations that are part of it?
Feedback has been extremely positive because we were able to, in our presentations, not only showcase the initiatives and the policies, but as I mentioned, the pavilion, which actually in great detail has the models that we have put in place for groundwater management, integrated approach to dam management, then the interlinking of rivers, the way that we approach the water and sanitation needs of villages. So right from macro to micro, the entire approach of Government of India has been highlighted in the presentations as well as in our exhibition.
What has been the content of the bilaterals, and with which countries have we got the bilaterals?
So we've had bilaterals with at least 9 countries, and with the UK, France, Germany is scheduled later today. With the EU, we've had with Indonesia. So just to name a few, Japan. And the issues that we've discussed are issues of common interest, which means how we would continue to grow and develop, but in a manner that is sustainable. So balancing economy and ecology is what is the ultimate objective. And that is why when we have put together this whole narrative of integrated approach to climate and environment, what we are talking about is the challenge that each country has and which the entire world faces in terms of the climate change.
Few more meetings to go for the ministerial that will happen in July in Chennai. With camera person Umesh, this is Meghna Dev for ED India from Gandhinagar.
That's it then in this news-packed edition of India at G20. Thanks for watching.
है ना, इसका सब प्रॉपर चलता है।
कल उसके बैंक अकाउंट में 15,000 रुपए का फ्रॉड हुआ है, पता है?
इसको तो कोई टेंशन ही नहीं होती है, देखना।
टेंशन क्यों? मेरी कोई गलती नहीं थी। फिर भी फ्रॉड होने पर मैंने तुरंत बैंक को इन्फॉर्म कर दिया। आरबीआई कहता है अगर आपके अकाउंट से किसी ने धोखे से पैसे निकाले हैं तो बैंक को जल्द से जल्द इन्फॉर्म कीजिए। 3 दिन के अंदर इन्फॉर्म किया तो कोई नुकसान नहीं होगा। जितना लेट करोगे उतना ज्यादा नुकसान। और सुन, सब चलता नहीं है, प्रॉपर चलाना पड़ता है। आरबीआई कहता है जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
We ask, are these veiled threats by Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, triggering a massive nuke arms race or scramble?
Absolutely unprecedented. I will say Hitler didn't do this back in the Second World War. It's a very serious signal. I'm just waiting what the NATO members will say.
It's kind of empty threat and shows that Putin is in the corner, that he's out of other options. So he's using nuclear threat because he feels that other options are being exhausted.
Putin's mindset says, I'm not going to let this happen. The only way I can do it is to make them believe I will use the nuclear option.
President Putin is expecting the NATO countries to deploy, for example, nuclear weapons in the Baltic states or the other NATO countries which are bordering Ukraine. It is clear that the role of the UN will increase.
Our guest today on this special episode of The Journey.
ये जो बेस माननीय प्रधानमंत्री बना रहे हैं, you are born to make a difference.
Your program says it's a journey. It's the startup India.
Do not go abroad. 10 more years.
75 years into India's vibrant democracy. This clearly is a story that needs to be unfolded. Please watch The Journey, Indian parliamentarians in conversation with Shaina NC. as an IAS officer, you were part of an NGO called Jan Shakti. Is there need to move from that space into active politics? Weren't you achieving enough as a civil servant and as well as an NGO activist?
Yeah, Shaida, yeah, I've had a very exciting life in the IAS, extremely exciting. I mean, every job I have enjoyed. I also prove that if you want to, you can really achieve whatever you want, you want. But there is a question, I don't want to miss out on things. As an IAS officer, your mandate is to do things which is decided by the political executive. They take the policy decisions and you are implementing this. I said, why not become a policy maker? So that's why I quit IAS, even though I really loved IAS, and became a politician.
Namaskar and thank you very much for joining us here on this special program. A Goldman Sachs report on AI, on artificial intelligence. It suggests that artificial intelligence will impact about 2/3 of the jobs going forward. It will increase global productivity by about 7%. And while efficiencies of production may improve across all sectors, with AI raising the quality of design and execution, the question remains of how far will AI displace human jobs. Some of the early casualties could be social media management, consultancies, services which require churning of information and presenting them, research analysis, even writing and design services. To expand on this subject, we have with us an eminent panel. Let me introduce you to them. Professor V. Kamakoti is Director of IIT Madras. Professor Mosam is founding head of Yardley School of Artificial Intelligence and Professor of Computer Science at IIT Delhi, and Subimal Bhattacharjee is an independent consultant on tech issues. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. Professor Kamakoti, let me start with you. AI power is going to increase, we all know that, but should we treat it like, there's an invasion taking place of AI into our space, rather than an invention of a new, more informed space?
So, there is an echo that is coming.
Oh, okay. So, if you could just speak, it would be okay.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I think AI should not be treated as an invasion or something. I think AI has been in place for quite some time. When I was a student, I have taken a course on AI. But the change that has come today are because of two things. That there is a massive digitalization that is happening across the world. And that digitalization is bringing in lot more of data. And that is the first enabler. And the second enabler is that we are now getting more and more compute power, not only at cloud and other places, but also as small as your small devices, including your mobile. Okay. We are having good amount of computation. And these two are the major turning points